I'm joined by NBC's Garrett Haake in Atlanta, and also with me is Carol Lamb, former U.S. attorney and current NBC News legal analyst. So, Garrett, let me start with you there on the ground in Georgia. The urgency of this, do you have a sense of the timing of when we might get a decision and a vote on whether they will indict?
Well, Kristen, the first three Trump indictments all happened later than we thought they would. This one seems like it's on track to possibly happen sooner. You mentioned George Chutkan, the journalist who is supposed to testify tomorrow. We just watched him walk up the courthouse steps behind me to go in and begin his testimony a few minutes ago. Furthermore, the judge who's presiding over this case just told reporters in his courtroom that we should basically make some early dinner plans and stick around, that it doesn't seem as though this courthouse will be closing up at 5 today. And every indication, and it's just tea leaf reading at this point, is that this grand jury does intend to kind of keep working much later than they would otherwise. So we do seem to be barreling towards a conclusion of some kind. Whether that comes in the form of an indictment today, tomorrow, or not at all, it's still too early to say.
Whenever you get the stick around for dinner, that is undoubtedly one of the strongest tea leaves you can read, Garrett. There's no doubt about that. Garrett, talk to me about this confusion earlier regarding the court docket in Fulton County. This is potentially significant. I'm going to ask Carol Lim about it, too. But explain what happened here.
Yeah, this was a confusing moment that turned more than a few reporters' hair gray today when Reuters, the wire service, briefly posted something that they said was from the docket here in this case, suggesting that Donald Trump had been indicted on several counts, even posting a picture of what looked for all the world like a docket that you would see in a courthouse like this one. But just as quickly as it was posted, the story was changed to say that it appeared that perhaps this indictment was coming. That document, which Reuters said had been posted on the Fulton County website, was removed, leaving all the rest of us to wonder whether it was some kind of misfire from the courthouse, a reportorial mistake, or just, perhaps something that got out earlier than it should have. We simply don't know the answer to that question, but it was a tantalizing look ahead, perhaps, at what might be coming down the pike. But, Kristen, we really don't know. It's the challenge with a secret process like a grand jury. Unless and until they hand up an indictment, we're left to guess and grasp at little pieces of information like that, just available for a fleeting moment, but captured by some eagle-eyed reporters at Reuters, it appears.
Well, you broke it down so well, Garrett. And Carol, I have to go to you on this point. I mean, Garrett makes the point, look, we don't know what happened here, why there was this apparent confusion, but could the former president's legal team seize on this and ask for a mistrial or try to use this to slow the legal proceedings? What do you make of that?
Kristen, I think that would be very unusual. I doubt that that would happen. It appears that if something was posted, it was posted in error by the court system. These things happen. And because no jury has been sworn yet and seated, there's really nothing, there's no relief to be asked for. This is still in the investigatory stage officially. The grand jury, as far as we know, has not returned an indictment. And so there's nothing to really complain about on the defense team's part. So I wouldn't expect to see that happen. It is interesting that something did get posted and they may have had something from the prosecutors in advance just to make sure they had something. This might be what the prosecutors expect to happen. But until the grand jury actually votes, we really don't know. They may not know. They may change their minds about certain counts in the indictment at the last minute. So there's a lot of uncertainty that attends to this sort of wrapping up of a grand jury proceeding. And it's not surprising to see some uncertainty at this point.
I want to ask you about the other piece of Garrett's reporting, something that is concrete, which is that former President Trump has been lashing out at Judge Chutkan online. What are the potential implications of that, given the warning that he got from Judge Chutkan?
Well, he is testing the limits. There's no question about that. Judge Chutkan has been proceeding in a very measured manner, which she has to. It's her responsibility to ensure the safety of everyone involved in these judicial proceedings, and she will do that. But she also has to do that in a very measured and very deliberate fashion. You can't just bang the gavel and say, I find you in contempt and you're going to jail. When you're a judge, you're actually cautioned that if you're ever going to use your contempt powers, it has to be in conformance with a lot of due process. So her job is to be fair but tough and ensure that the defendant has a lot of warning about what behaviors will or will not result in a finding of contempt. And there's, I think, still some distance to go, unless he says something that actually would make a reasonable person say, you know what, he's really inviting some sort of act of violence or some sort of intimidation against a witness or a court member. He may have a little runway left, but it's not going to last forever. She will take steps if she has to enforce her powers.
Speaking of which, Neil Katyal tweeted that Judge Chutkan may respond, quote, "It would not surprise me if Judge Chutkan called a hearing with Trump's presence, given his new remarks." Do you agree with that assessment, or do you think, as you say, there's more time before she takes any action whatsoever?
Well, I wouldn't disagree with Neil. I think different people might approach this differently. She may say, you know what, he's going to call me biased. He's going to lash out at the court system, but that is his First Amendment right, and he can say what he wants about how he thinks this prosecution is unfair. Again, it has to approach the level of endangering somebody's life because he seems to be inciting some kind of violence, or really saying something that may intimidate a witness or a potential juror or somebody on the court or a member of the opposite party. It's a judgment call here, and I think she's going to be careful. On the other hand, the former president has to be aware that whatever Judge Chutkan does, if she does take measures, and even if he decides to appeal it or take a writ of mandate or something up to a higher court, her actions are going to be judged by other judges, and other judges care a lot about keeping control of their courtrooms. So I think that you can see the way she's been proceeding. It's been very measured, and I think if she continues on that road, she will be upheld if she decides to take stronger measures.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.